Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is the last session from the 4 days of sessions and seminar what you have been going through. And I'm really delighted to see that we still have almost 80% of audience still available. So I think the team, the Step-In team has done a decent job in holding your attention. And I'll try to do my best to continue the same for the next 1 hour and then followed by some awards. So what I thought is, I've done a lot of sessions around a specific topic. I've presented on big data, spoken about, instead of talking about cloud, coming from a testing forum, we always think about what to break it, right? So I've spoken about anti-cloud pattern and a lot of things about any specific technology and everything. But when I've chaired this tech review committee for this year, when I've seen the list of topics and then particularly, the whole theme of the presentation was, how do we learn from the past and how do we prepare for the future, right? That's the whole session about. So I thought, why can't we have a closing session around, summarizing all of these learnings and also looking at what is that, we have seen as an industry testing, and then how do you relate to it, and then what are some of the trends, what will be for the future for the next 10 years. And by the way, the trends or the predictions, whatever I show, are not from IDC, Forrester, and Gartner, so I disappoint you upfront. So I'm sorry, they are not from any analyst firms. These are my personal views, and these are my personal experiences after being in the industry and also, talking to the customers, looking at the enterprises, looking at some of the technology trends. So these are my personal opinions. So feel free to ridicule them and also, comment if you want, because it's all, we're all from the same fraternity, so it's easy to comment, right? If it's Gartner, we feel a little bit embarrassing. Do I want to or, not? There's some kind of an embarrassment, right? So feel free. So with that said, let me start off. First of all, I want to, quickly probably sympathize or empathize with, my testing fraternity and folks, because I can't do this with other sessions where you have all the generalists. If you have any, person who is generalist, not a specialist in testing, I apologize. But, I feel being as a fellow tester community, I want to, introduce a pattern, what I see, and then, probably see if you feel the same or not. Okay. If you look at it as of today, where testing is, okay, let's say we find a defect in production, okay. The minute there is a defect in production, the first question comes up is, how did it miss testing, right? Have we seen anybody asking about, why is that guy who did not write the requirement properly? Or do we see questions around asking that, why is the design bad? The first instant question is, why did it miss testing, right? Are we familiar with this? Let us say, on the contrary, everything is successful, you have 0 defects in production. Okay? So I'm getting the answers, right? Oh, the developers stand in line and say, oh, I've developed the best code, we have done peer reviews, we have done, so much of, intellectual programming and everything that, it's working beautifully. I've designed a scalable architecture, and suddenly there's a press release also on how, the design is and what is the intellectual, property around the design and everything, right? So testing is like, only if you have a problem, then people are recognized. Hey, where are you guys? And even from a spending point of view also, we're all the leftover poor kids, right? Everything is eaten away. And then we have topics also, right? Testing in the shrinking world. Did we see a title as like, testing in, or development in the shrinking world? No. Right? We only see testing in the shrinking world. So we are into an industry where, whether we accept or not, we are always on the fag end. Okay, I'm not offending people who talk about test-driven development, who talk about, test first and, write code next. All is good. Okay, but in the reality, what gets compromised is testing. Do we agree? So I think that is what I just wanted to share as a fellow. Now you understand why I'm sharing only in this session, not anywhere else. Okay. So now let's get into our, main theme presentation. I'm correlating this whole industry with Big Bang, okay? So if you see the Big Bang metaphor, how the universe was formed, right? Probably 13 billion years ago, and this from wiki knowledge, so don't think that, I know all the science and geography, right? So 13 billion years ago, we have seen the explosion of the universe, and then we have seen the evolution of, atoms, neutrons, nucleon, cosmos, and then translating into universe, galaxy. There's a whole theory around it. And today, if I ask a kid about what is Big Bang, oh, I love that serial, there's a Comedy Central Big Bang Theory. Right? Even if you Google also Big Bang, the first thing you see is 52 episodes of Big Bang Theory, season 5, season 6. But anyway, that's not what it is. We are talking about the Big Bang, the evolution. So, testing also, if you really look at it, testing, there's an era, there's a phase. So, if you look at 2000 and below, so programmers or testers who have been in the industry, prior to 2000, testing was not a, mainstream, right? Testing was something only done on a need basis. Otherwise, developers were doing all the testing. But in the last 12 years, we have seen some evolution. There's a reason. There's an explosion also. Like how you have seen the Big Bang, there's an explosion. Suddenly, there is a need which created. It's not like Colavari that, it's not a viral, right? Right? It's not a viral. So testing is not viral that, everybody just found fancy. So let's do testing. There's a Big Bang. When you really look at it, the entire investment, see, why did 2001 dot-com burst happen, right? We have seen that a lot of investments were made without reasoning. We have seen a lot of systems went down the tank thinking that, they would hit the market, but they were way ahead of the market. And when, there was a big bang on IT as an industry, then people thought that, let us not rush things into production. Let us introduce quality. Let us have some testing. Let us have someone else who can come and think about this product before it is thrown into production. So there was a big bang, and that led to what is called as the evolution of independent testing. Then, after that, in the last decade, we have seen in form of evolution, we have seen a lot of things. I'll just highly touch upon them. Then, there's a phase of consolidation also what we have seen. Standard, like the big guys eating the small guys, there's a lot of consolidation. After the consolidation, then what next? So today, I pause ourselves that we are at a phase of consolidation. I'm taking a logical break. From there, what next? What you should see as a future of testing industry for the next decade or probably the next 5 years is what is the overall theme of the presentation. Okay. So software as a journey. Okay. So if you look at a phase 0 as an inception, this is nothing but the pre-2000s, where we have seen limited independent testing because the developers were actually doing their testing. Okay. Then we have seen also specialized testing, okay, where it is controlled by the developer. Because earlier 2000, how many of you were in testing pre-2000? Okay, good. Quite a number of people like me. Okay, so if you look at it, it was developer controlled testing, right? Can you guys, associate yourself into it? Where the developer tells you, hey, okay, I tell you, do this. Okay, because even today also, if you look at it, if there's an organization where development and testing is done, testing is considered as a second-grade citizen. Or people think that because you don't know the logic, you are into testing. It is not true actually. You need 10 times more logic, you need 10 times more creativity and thinking on how to break the code rather than saying that, how the code is written. So to the fellow developers and the architects, tell them that, a testing needs a lot more creative brain and then it needs a lot more disruptive paths in order to work rather than development who looks at the happy path. I'm a developer myself. I started my career, but it's funny that I ridicule on both ways. But that is the reality. Okay. So there was a developer control testing where, you are exactly told what you're supposed to do. Don't cross the line. If you cross the line, then that's it. You get banged. Okay. Then after the inception phase is over, then let us talk about the next phase where we call about an evolution. Evolution is something what all of you have witnessed it. So I don't want to talk about each one of these concepts because then the 1 hour is done and then, I would say, you're done. So let me actually touch upon each one of them. Okay. So look at IVNV. Independent verification and validation has become a mainstream where we have seen companies set up silo organizations for testing, right? Either as a vertical or as a horizontal, or we have seen companies who have established testing as their only focus, delivering a lot of services in any organization. Okay. Then we have seen a lot of test maturity models also, right? Where in addition to SDLC, the industry has seen something called as a STLC, right? Software test lifecycle, right? And there is a process, there is a methodology, then there are governing institutes, bodies around it. All of that we have witnessed. Then We have seen turnkey solutions. I'm actually elevating it from tools. Actually, it's tools. Tools have evolved, okay? Companies have manufactured a lot of tools, and the tools were actually giving you a turnkey solution. See, automation, right? You use QTP. It's a solution, right? You're trying to, address a business problem, okay? Then, we have seen career testers, right? How many of you are career testers over here? Okay. So I don't have to tell you what a career tester is. See, we have seen people who are passionate, who wanted to actually move into testing, who actually took testing as a mainstream. The others, because the development projects were sinking, testing is booming, so they are put into testing project. Sorry. Right? Then we have seen accelerators, right? We have seen accelerators also where we take products like SAP, we take products like Oracle, Siebel. You take any of the applications and I say, I create a predefined test suite around the product so that I don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? All of that landscape we have seen. Now what next? Okay, after this, what we have seen is, we have seen something called as consolidation. Why consolidation generally happens? Like, why somebody goes and buys someone else, okay? Anybody from Oracle here? One, okay. I'll take the liberty to offend Oracle, okay. The only company where I didn't see why they buy companies is Oracle, because I've seen 4 or 5 acquisitions, the product gets killed, then the market slaps them, and then after the market is over, they finally start, again developing the product back into action. So sometimes acquisitions, absolutely, happen for wrong reasons. Sometimes they do it for the right reasons. Like probably, let's look at, what are the intentions at least, because nobody is saying that I have a $10 billion cash or I have a $50 billion cash. I don't know what I want to do, so let me go out and buy the company. That's not the intention, right? The typical intentions are, okay, I want to have some inorganic growth, and I want to, control this market, right? They want to take the market share, and then they want to lead the market, right? The lead the market is, unfortunately, it has to be by innovation, but today they lead it by the volume. Ideally, what they have to do is, when you take it, you actually control the market by innovation. Say that, I'll develop the cutting edge platform where, nobody else can compete. But instead of that, what they do is, I have the 85% of the market share, now I can control you, because, now I can put you into a hostage situation. If I'm not there, no one else is there. I don't have to name the company, we all are familiar with those kind of companies, okay? Then, be a one-stop shop for the clients. The intention is, why you go for, multiple places, get everything from me. Then the third one is business sustenance and as well as talent acquisition, because people take pride, right? When you have a brand. With a brand, people associate themselves. It's common, right? So it's cool to say that, I work for Facebook. It's cool to say that I work for Google. So when you are working for a cutting edge technology, I see people in malls also. I don't see people now in malls where they wear a Infosys or Cognizant t-shirts. But in 2000, 2003, they used to wear those t-shirts and roam around because being in IT was, kind of cool, right? But now I see still people like, Google or Facebook, they wear those t-shirts and roam around because they wanted to show that, hey, I work for something cool and I want to, I want you to stare at me. There's a good brand association. So people do that, okay? So some of the services acquisition, whatever happened, some companies, then some tool acquisition companies also have done. But when you really look at it, either you look at a service acquisition or whether you look at a tool acquisition, did they really realize these goals? Okay, like for example, mobile space. Okay, I'll take an example because now I'm on the tool space. Okay, I'll take an example of HP. Okay, how many of you use HP toolset for your mobile platform? Mobile is the future, right? We have beaten to death in this conference about mobile and big data, right? But how many of you use mobile for mobile related testing, mobile related automation, HP product? One. See, it's a minority. How many of you use HP products for like quality center, QTP, functional testing and everything? It's a majority. So clearly, whatever Mercury brought in, no doubt they enhanced it, but they lost to be the market. They didn't see the future of what is cutting edge and they lost the market. Okay. So, and if you look at a pattern also, there is a pattern. Can somebody tell me in all of these 4 acquisitions, there is a pattern? Can somebody just quickly see and tell me a pattern? What do you see? So there are tool companies, no doubt. Okay, that's one pattern. Who are the acquiring? There's a pattern in the companies which are acquiring. There's a competitor, okay. I wanted to say that if you really look at it after putting only, I've seen apart from Test Plant, okay, the top 3 acquisitions, if you look at it, they are infrastructure companies. It makes sense for infrastructure companies to actually own tools also, because end of the day, the tool plays, a role on the underlying infrastructure. So the infrastructure companies have done it right to identify what is the potential, and they have acquired tools in the market so that they can capitalize. So the intention is accurate. Okay, but somehow they lost the race in capitalization. So that is why I say, even though consolidation has happened, I still see that there's a lot more room for us to look at what is the next level. Okay, so with that, let's go into our mainstream topic, for which I've already lost a lot of time. So okay, I'll put all of these and then I'll go over and explain each one of them. Okay, if you really look at it, these are the different patterns, or these are the different drivers I would see for the next 10 years when you go into the market. I predict that these are the different, I can't call and I can't generalize them, because each one of that is a different tenet. It targets and it addresses something altogether different. So I say these are the business drivers which will govern and also which will drive the futuristic testing market.